Mhm. You know how to get scared.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to
Hi.
Brains Over Bullets and TV, Facebook Live podcast. I am Ari McNeil for the people, some of the people that are new and have joined the page. Ari McNeil, I'm locally here in Fayetteville. I am the founder of God Style Outreach, BRIM, Broken Restored Empowered Mothers. It's for mothers that have lost children to gun violence and any type of loss. God Style Outreach is in the memory of my son. This is his organization. I really just run it, and it's for gun violence awareness and mental health in youth. And it's a community-based organization. And of course, Brains Over Bullets that me and Demetria Murphy that have worked together and started together. And it's a community podcast. We do have guests every week, or if we have a guest, we had two today, but of course situations came up, work schedule conflict, and they couldn't be here, but we still got to go on. And I'm gonna
So, hello everyone. My name is Demetria Murphy. Like Ari said, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, I'm the founder of YD Youth Diverse Intervention Group. We particularly work with youth to kind of remove them out of an environment and introduce them to something different. We also provide them with tutoring. I believe in eating, so we feed these kids a hot meal every Sunday that we meet. We have a curriculum that has been placed for them. Ultimately, wanting to get them to a place where they can become productive citizens. So I enjoy what I do. I do speaking engagements for Operation Ceasefire. As someone who's formerly been incarcerated before, I truly believe in fighting for what's right and having a second chance and different things of that nature. I also sit on the board with Fayetteville Cumberland Reentry, where I work with Mr. Garner them on the Reentry Council and just trying to implement different things so that people coming home can have an actual fair fight in this game out here called life. So, as my cousin stated, Brains Over Bullet was something that she and I sat down and collaborated and came up with to give the community an opportunity to voice your opinion so that you can have a voice. You guys are more than welcome to come and sit in with us. You guys are more than welcome to come and be a guest. You don't have to be somebody with a lot of alphabet behind your name. You can be somebody who sit home and watch stories all day long, but you have an idea about what's going to make your community better. And this is what we sit out here and this is what we fight for.
And we also, I keep the candles lit for also the new people. The candles are lit for all the people that have lost their lives in our community. We do represent and we honor all the lives, all the people that have lost their children or lives to gun violence. But we're focusing on our community right now. I have traveled from community from Robeson to Hope to Bladen to Southern. I've been to all the surrounding counties and trying, working with other people to try to fight gun violence and be a motivational speaker and share my son's story and try to get the community to work together and reach out to the youth. But right now we're focusing on Cumberland County because at the end of the day, we live here. This is where we reside. And if we don't fix, we can't expect everybody to come in our community and try to fix our community. We got to take the stand and do it for ourselves as well because our children go to school here. Our children play here. We live here. So these candles will always stay lit for the lives. And we have, of course, every week we talk about the part of the brain, and we shared that, and you can see that over there. Of course, it's the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. And you can look those up at your leisure because I'm not going to share it every week. But one of the things that we want to talk about today, we're going to talk about various things. And y'all welcome to type a comment, post a comment or post a question, and we address the question and we try to get the answer back to you. And so we can kind of not let you know, because this is for the community. This is us. I had some disturbing news today that one of my moms in the Brim, the murderer of her son, they didn't charge him. and he's free on our streets. Another murderer free on our streets, like the same way with my son, Antonio Styles, who was murdered August 21st, 2017. He was shot 5 times right here at North Street Park by Blueberry, and the guy is still free on our streets today. And it's because the people refuse to tell the right information. They refuse to tell the truth. People lie. And this young man is free on our streets, and they didn't charge him. And they said the witness refused to speak. And they had a witness. They had a person that was willing to speak up, and all of a sudden they backed out. And which is a coward. What if this was your brother? What if this was your son? What if this was your cousin or your niece? You know, so many aspects. People seem to be so cold-hearted and mean and selfish because it's not them actually in the situation. So it breaks my heart and to know that we have another murderer on our streets, and the fact that Cumberland County, it just is bothering the justice system here. And that's not the first one. I have a few moms and their children have been murdered, and the guys are out here on our local Cumberland County streets, and they're free.
Okay, and I know that a lot of people may not like what I'm about to say. However, I stand on the side of what I say. And there's several sides to the judicial system. And as African Americans, we've adopted this notion of you don't want to say anything because it's not your situation. It's not your son. It's not your brother. Situations never become important until they hit your front door. So when you're looking at the law enforcement and you're looking at detectives who are out here in the streets who are trying to gather information to close these cases, who is the individual that hold the information that give them the tools they need to close this case? This is like watching First 48. I just watched a documentary last night about the city of Houston and how their murder rate is and how many unsolved murders they have. Because we have adopted the notion of this, no snitching, no telling, no this, no that.
Stitches and all
so since we have adopted this notion, how can we hold the judicial system accountable when the community who knows what happened will not stand up?
Right.
Do you remember the Tyler Perry movie? And in that movie, it resonates for what we're dealing with right now.
Which one?
The one where, with the 3 sisters,
Daddy's girl.
Daddy's little girl.
Daddy's little girl. Okay.
Here you have this guy who's dominating the neighborhood. Nobody's wanting to assist in getting him removed out the neighborhood. And when it finally boils down to it, in order to have him removed, the community had to come together. Because you had Idris Elba's character as the good guy.
Right.
So once his character was immersed into this situation with this young man, this is when the community want to stand up.
Right.
Now for myself, I remember when we had individuals who were in the streets who took care of the community with their wrongdoing.
Right.
They took care of the community, and if blood was shed, it was kind of out of protection. Now blood is just being shed.
Yeah.
It's not out of a sense of you're protecting a community.
Right.
So there's a difference. So for me, Antonio was my cousin. So for me, I feel like we have to first teach our young people that you have to be able to be accountable for what's going on around your surroundings.
Right.
So let's use Antonio as an example. My cousin at the basketball court with his friends. And I say friends loosely because friends are only there in the midst of enjoying something.
Right.
But one thing my mother always told me, Trouble is easy to get into, but hard to get out of. And all those friends that you were with when you was getting into it, they gone when you got to stand up and be accountable for it.
That's right. That's right.
So when that happened with Antonio, he was out there by himself because those friends were gone.
They left him laying on the ground, bleeding.
The same friends
Yeah.
who know who pulled the trigger,
Saw the guy pull the trigger.
but have any of them came up because you said, this was my dog, this was my friend,
Right.
this was my brother.
Right. And they said that my son pulled the trigger, but the police have not found gunpowder on his hands. And I'm going to continue to say that. How did he pull the trigger? And then another person picked up the gun and started shooting back at the perpetrator. But I believe, as a mom, I believe that the perpetrator picked up the gun and shot all the shots. But my thing is, why my son is not here to defend himself and say, no, this is not what happened, Judge. No, police officer. My name is Antonio Styles. This is what happened. I ain't pick up the gun. I ain't shoot back at that man. All I did was try to defend myself. All I did was try to, stop what was going on because my son was a protector. And then they tried to say he was festering. If anybody know my son, Antonio Tone, as we know him, don't fester. Oh man, I'm gonna get you. What? No, Tone, either I'm gonna do it or either I ain't. Either I'm gonna fight you or I'm not. He was a fighter, number one. He would fight before he would do anything. So with them telling me, yeah, I'm scratching my head because that's the way I'm like trying to, like, I know my child. How, if he did all this, okay, so now the gun is gone. So now, okay, he's laying there on the ground fighting for his life, but the gun is gone. So you mean to tell me while he was fighting for his life, after he'd been shot 5 times, he had the chance to throw the gun? No, I don't. From what I hear, he was screaming for me. Cause he was screaming my name. Where my mama? I need my mama. He was calling for me. So at that moment when he's calling for his mother and I can't get to my son, how is he throwing a gun? How, that's not processing to me.
For me, it's just time for the community to stop sugarcoating what the reality of these situations are. And the reality of these situations are, if you know that someone has taken someone else's life, there's a great chance that they will do that again if they have not been exposed to some type of sanctioning. So for myself, what I'm saying to you, it's time for the community to stand up.
Yeah.
If you know that this is what happened, speak about what happened.
If you know somebody.
If you're afraid, you don't have to disclose who you are or whatever the case may be. But the one thing about it is this: it's never going to affect you until it hits your front door. When it hits your front door, you're going to want answers. You're going to want solutions. You're going to want resolution. You're going to want to know that justice is being served. But what you cannot do is sit and say it is the judicial system's fault. It is not solely their fault. Because what we do know is when detectives go door to door and they're asking questions, people are prone to not answer these questions. People are prone to say, oh, I don't know what happened. And a lot of this is because, again, it goes back to what we said before. What are we allowing our youth to entertain?
Right.
What are we allowing them to sit up and watch that is festering into their spirits? They're watching this.
Yeah.
They're watching these, and please know, I'm not downing any Black author material. But it's way more material out here than gang banging, drug selling, and weed smoking, and booty smacking.
Yeah.
It's way more out here than that. We wonder why some of our children have difficulties articulating.
Yeah.
Because look what you're allowing them to read and watch. Are they reading anything that is written in correct grammar?
Yeah.
Everything that they're reading, the words are cut off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technology.
Technology is taking over.
Technology, we're not even spelling whole words out in text messages anymore.
No.
So why do we have to first stand up, be accountable for our community,
Yes.
what's going on in our community, police our own communities.
Mm-hmm.
Stop expecting the police to come in as a knight in shining armor and ride up and just rodeo everybody up.
We gotta do better.
You have to be able to do better. And it's no shade to anyone.
It's all of us.
It's just the truth.
This is a us situation. And like I say that this is a us situation. Like I continue to say, this is our community. When you put in your address, either your address is 2108, 28301, 28304, 28306, 28312, 28. This is Cumberland County community. This is us.
Right.
So we got to stand up. We got to do better. We got to take our babies back from the streets. The streets are swallowing our children so fast. We can't even blink.
Excuse me, the documentary that I watched last night, that is what the young man stood up and said, who was part narrating it.
Mm-hmm.
In closing of the documentary, he said, and our Capitol Hill is Raleigh. Raleigh is our Capitol Hill.
Right.
So we can't expect Capitol Hill to come down here and make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
We can't expect the White House to come in and make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
We can't expect no one else to come in and make a difference.
Right.
We can't sit here and point a finger at Mitch. We can't point a finger at the city council members. We can't point fingers at anyone. The one thing I know is that when you point a finger 3 points back at you,
Right.
you have more responsibility than the one person that you're pointing at.
Right. Mm-hmm.
People only can do so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I say this and I'll say this every podcast. There are strength in numbers.
That is true.
There are strength in numbers. What we're not going to do, we're not going to take away all the bad guys. We're not going to take away, and please know and understand, just because a person's out here doing wrong does not make them a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
People react off of their situations.
Mm-hmm.
Situations fuel how you, like I said today in my presentation, your perception of your situation dictates your attitude to how you're going to do something.
Right. Okay.
Then if you're sitting there and you know that you got siblings who need to eat, or your parents is on drugs or they MIA, and your mind is telling you that you have to provide, whether you're a young female or you're a young male, and you have to get out here and try to figure out a way to provide. You don't want to get DSS involved because getting them involved, they might split up your family. So you have all these bad thoughts about who DSS is and what they're going to come in and do.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to what you think you know best.
Right.
So no one is saying that somebody's choices make them a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying to you is, it's time that we stand up and be held accountable for what is going on in our communities.
Yeah.
I wanted to put an event together before a while ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the saddest thing was we had to sit down and we had to really demographically look at the event. Because somebody from Murchison Road might not like somebody from Bonnie Doon. Somebody from Bonnie Doon might not like somebody from Shaw Road. Shaw Road might not like downtown. So I'm like, really? We have to sit down and demographically structure a positive event
around hood beef.
Around what somebody got going on in a community that deep. And this is another reason why I say we need more men to stand up and be these father figures in the lives of these children who do not have a father. We need women to stand up and be a mother figure to these young girls who don't have one.
That's something I want to talk about. Okay, so the statement, I believe, this is my own opinion, community. This is my own opinion. So, but you have a right to rebuttal my opinion.
Absolutely.
This is what we want done. This is how we're going to start discussion. This is how we're going to improve our community, because we got to discuss this thing. We got to talk about stuff that ain't nobody really want to talk about. The reality of what's going on. Us older women, me, her, and up, I believe that we need to do better in standing up and saying something to these young girls and getting this situation. Because you know, when we were growing up, we had somebody say, girl, put your dress down, it's too short. Put your shirt up, your boobs hanging out. You know, you don't have to reveal too much because you're sending out the wrong message. You know, respect yourself. Now we're promoting, girl, you look cute, girl. Oh, I like that. It's okay to be revealing now. And it's okay to say, hey, I want to show my breasts and I want to show my butt because I want that man or them boys or this and this and this for the attention. I think that we need to bring back some of the old ways and that standard and saying that, you know, we need to get our young ladies back on track. Because I think a lot of things would fall in place if we stand up and take back some of the things that we have that's going on social media. Yes, the social media is taking over, but I believe that we can say, get a group of older ladies, or if you out and you see a young lady, yeah, these girls are disrespectful. Yes, they are. And they be making you want to smack them in the mouth. And yes, you do. You be wanting to drag one because they'll make you come out your spirituality a little bit. Okay? But it's a way that we can reach them without making them feel belittled, without making them feel trashy, without making them feel that they're less than, and we know that they might not have no guidance. We got to remember, just because we plant that seed, they still got to go back into that environment that they come from. She could have a mama that's a prostitute, and that's all she know. She could have a mama that's a drug addict, and that's all she know. Seeing her mom messing with 5 different men a day. And have 5 different baby daddies. That might be, but at the same time, there's something that you could say. There's something that you could instill in that young lady and say, baby, I don't know if nobody ever told you this, but you're pretty, you're beautiful. You don't have to do that. I understand. You know, talk to them. Take time. Everybody's so in a rush. Everybody's so mean. Everybody's so evil. I don't get it. Yeah. I just believe because somebody took the time to talk to me. Somebody took the time to pray for me. Y'all know that old song. Yeah, somebody took the time to say, young lady, you know, you need to straighten up. Young lady, you know, I see this and this going on. And I can see you can have this. I see this potential in you. And if you do this, I believe that you can have this. And I know God loves you. Why can't we do that? Because somebody did it for us. Yeah. Somebody pulled you to the side. Somebody pulled you and said, encourage you. And I think we need to bring that back into society, especially for our young girls. Because they is just in the last couple of days, I've seen some stuff. I'm like, Lord Jesus.
I agree with you. Because, you know, for me, I got my talk when I was incarcerated. Mm-hmm. Because I went in there still young and bugging and wild. Mm-hmm. And it took the older women who have done time and have been down for a time to start loving on me. Yeah, yeah. They loved on me. Yes. That's the difference. When you're applying correction, you apply it in love. That's right. So that's what they did. They would call me and let's just sit down. Let's just talk. Mm-hmm. You know, and of course, being young, I was resistant at first. Mm-hmm. Of course. But eventually, I began to see it. Mm-hmm. I began to understand it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we're really longing and looking for something. We're looking for something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's something that a void that we're trying to fill. You know, for me, my mom was an addict. And I didn't know my father. Mm-hmm. So I was looking for something from both spectrums. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't negate that my mom didn't love me, because anybody know my mother loved me and would go crazy about me. Mm-hmm. But addictions are some hard things to fight. Mm-hmm. And when you have a parent who's fighting an addiction, it's difficult. Right. It's difficult. But one point I wanted to make too, Ari, was when we are doing different things in the community and we're addressing our youth and different things of that nature, I think it's important to let them know that when you walk away from old things, old people, and old places,
You can't go.
it don't make you a sucker. It don't make you a lame.
That's good.
It doesn't make any of those things true.
Right.
It actually means that you're beginning to see that you have goals and ambitions,
Yeah.
and what you're doing is going to hinder you getting to that point.
Right. Right.
It's gonna cloud your judgment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So moving and choosing to be around new people, you know, a metaphor that I always used to use is this.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a millionaire,
Mm-hmm.
you need to hang with millionaires.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to be a bum, you need to hang with bums.
Yeah. You want to be an entrepreneur and you're into starting a business, you need to hang around the people that's in that direction, because that's where you draw your information, your strength and ideas. You know, that you have to. So that's like we came from an environment. We grew up in the hood. Come on, let's keep it. We grew up on. I grew up on the murder. I ran the murder.
Eventually, that's where I grew up at.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it. And then from there, I moved Elm Street,
Yeah.
hood. And I experienced
I
things
used to
in
go
my
to
life.
Run the Terrace every summer. Camp Rockfish, that's what we was at.
Okay.
Eating at the cinema.
So, but in that, I had to realize that if I stay in these environments, if I don't make a change, then I'm going to be a product of my environment. So who's going to have the strength to say, I don't want to live like this no more. I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired of selling drugs. I'm tired of this type of lifestyle. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of going to jail. I'm tired of the police messing with me. So once you get to the attitude where you're just tired and you want better, then you have to separate yourself. You have to. That's biblical. You know, even in biblical, it's talking about separate yourself. That means you have to separate from that environment, from them things that cause you to go that way, that cause you to do those sins, that cause you. If I used to be in this lifestyle, you mean tell me I can come over here and still be in this lifestyle and not end up going back to it? It's kind of impossible.
Okay.
Because you're gonna be like, man,
Okay.
you're gonna start pondering. The
Okay.
things gonna start bothering you because somebody's stronger. Either it's gonna pull you to it, or you're gonna pull away from it. You gotta pick and choose.
Right.
Somebody's stronger.
Right.
And most of the time, the bad things are stronger than the good things, and it pulls you back quicker.
And I was telling Mr. Hodges today after the symposium this morning, I was telling him, you know, one of the fights that as I continue to go through my academia career, one of the things that I want to tackle is having drug dealing as a diagnosis in the DSM.
Mm.
And I say that because it is really an addiction.
Yeah.
It's really an addiction.
Yeah.
And coming from somebody who was a drug dealer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a different feeling for a man than it is for a woman.
Yeah.
You know, as a woman, you know, the respect that you get,
Mm-hmm.
that power feeling,
Yeah.
you know, it's like when you walk in the room, immediately everybody like, oh, there she go. You know what I'm saying? It's really, it intensifies so much in a person's mental
Yeah.
that if they really look at and they really did studies on the mind
Yeah.
of someone who sells drugs,
Mm-hmm.
it would qualify to be in the DSM.
Mm-hmm.
For myself,
Tell them what the DSM is.
oh, so the DSM is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. This is what we use in social work when we are diagnosing different things and situations with people. For myself, as someone who used to sell drugs, coming home from prison, I would try to go out to clubs and different things of that nature. And then I had to realize one day that I can't continue in that environment. And why couldn't I continue in that environment? Because if I'm trying to do it the right way on this side, and I'm going to somebody's 9 to 5, and I'm barely making ends meet at this 9 to 5, but I'm steady going over here to this club. And when I walk in the club, the first question that is asked is not, hey, how you doing? How you been? You straight? You straight?
Right.
So just imagine in someone's mind who used to sell drugs, when you go into that environment and somebody asks you, are you straight 10 times? You sitting there, you calculating in your mind what you just lost out on. It don't even, the chunk change from that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Eventually, you get in the mindset of just one more time. Just one more time, just this little bit here.
And then one more time.
And then one more time become another time. One thing I appreciate is with the NAAA, it works if you work it one day at a time. Like literally, until I got myself to the point where I know that there's certain environments I just will not go in. But when I got myself to the point where there are some environments that I can go in and what you do does not bother me, it doesn't make me feel like I need to step back on that side or anything of that nature. I literally had to tell myself that on a daily basis that this thing on this side over here, it's gonna work.
Right.
If I choose to work it.
Right.
So I definitely think that we have to look at, how can we want somebody to stop selling drugs? And you want somebody to go from making $250,000 a year and selling drugs to making 19. That's like telling somebody to go from driving.
That's right. Economic shock.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You can't expect that. You really cannot expect somebody to go from making all of this money, being their own boss, being and moving how they choose to.
But I believe, I agree with the fact that when you say it's different from a woman and a man, because for a woman, especially if you're a single mom, single mothers out there, I'm sure you can agree with this, that when we have to take on doing everything ourselves, we gotta be the mama, we gotta be the daddy, we gotta be the provider, we gotta be the cook, we gotta be the clean, it's a list of things we gotta do because we gotta do it all. Plus, outside of being all those faces and wearing all those hats, we gotta we gotta still tend to us. And when we have that power and that attitude of, and I'm getting it, like, dude, really, what you gonna do for me? Like, okay, but I'm getting my money and I'm like, your customers probably my customers too, and like I'm still making the same amount of money you making. So what you gonna do for me? So that would, I get that power struggle. It strokes your ego. It strokes your arrogance and your pride and your attitude. Like, dude, bye.
And I think it intensifies by 10 with men.
Yes.
With men, it intensifies that feeling that a woman has of all of those feelings and emotions and the mental side of it. I think that it's intensified by 10 when it's a man, yes. And I definitely would love to, know what a male's perspective on that is.
So males, we need some men on the show. We need some men to come out and talk to us, and we need
don't be afraid.
We need some men point of view. We need to talk about this. We got women up here. This is our point of view, and this is how we feel. But we need some men.
You gotta be able to defend you gotta defend y'all. Cause we gonna defend us, so y'all gotta defend y'all.
We need some men on the show so we can talk about this.
Right. I think another thing that was brought up today in the symposium when Ms. Bradford was saying, don't be a part of the problem, be a part of the solution. I think that's where we are right now. We're at an intricate part in society where, the White House is crumbling. It's crumbling, and then we have our low-level governmental officials. You have some trying to do great things. You have some trying to resist the great that they're doing. And I think that we really have to look at, being a part of the solution, because they can't do it all themselves.
Right.
Like even when Mitch was doing the millennial, when he was going around and doing the millennial and stuff of that nature, I really wanted to know what his population would have been had he not had them at the schools, because he had them at the colleges. Yeah. So, a lot of college students came, of course, because they want to see what Mitch is talking about. They want to see, what is this millennial thing, and, trying to keep millennials here in Fayetteville. But if he would not have had them at the school, and he might have just picked, Smith Recreation Center or Myers or anything like that, what would his turnout have been? Because we have to start supporting on every level.
Right.
We have to support on every level. That's why even Councilwoman Ms. Waddell, I respect her so much, because when she and I talk and, the individual things that she do, one thing that she and I shared was when I told her, you really present yourself because you're human like everybody else.
Yeah.
And her response to me was, even though I'm a councilwoman, I'm still a citizen.
Right.
So my tax money, just like your tax money, is whose money I'm trying to ensure that it's being handled correctly.
Right.
She say we budget too. We budget just like average households budget. So I believe and I support in people who stand up and realize that we're all on this playing field right here together.
Right. There's no
a title don't put you here.
Right. Even though that they put that out there, that portray that people are here and people here. If you from this hood, you here. If you got this title, you here. If you got this business, you're here, and everybody else is down here and below. I have a problem that I don't believe that. I personally think you should treat people like they're people.
Right.
Because in the reality of it, at any day, all that can come crashing down. All that can come crashing down.
Yeah. So
I believe that you should treat people the way they should be treated. We're all human beings. You was a human being before you got the title, or you was from this hood. It doesn't matter. We all in this community. I don't care how much you pay rent, what neighborhood you stay in, what kind of car you drive. You still live in Cumberland County.
Yeah.
Your kids still go to the same school. You can you still stop at Food Line, Walmart, Harris Teeter, what's the other one over there on Public? We still live in this community, and guess what? Our children still reside in that community. Your money, your title, don't exempt you for losing a child. It don't exempt you for your children not experiencing peer pressure. Your money and your title and your car and your prestige, this and that, it doesn't exempt your child from failing school or being a drug addict or this. It doesn't exempt that. Our children are being infected. So at the end of the day, we have to stand up for them, because all of them can't speak for themselves. So it's our job, I feel, as the adults, we pick up the ball and we do what we're supposed to do and take back our community so it can be more safe for them. No, we ain't gonna be able to fix everything. No, we're not gonna be able to fix everything. But I believe that if we come together and start doing things together and supporting each other with no hidden agendas, no, I'm just gonna go see what they doing. I know it ain't about nothing. All that right there, and just come sincerely, I think our community come together. Not just because we having a painting canvas, wine and canvas, or we having a house party, or we get ready to drink, or food. I just think you should do it because it's our community and we need to support each other. And that's why when I hear different things, I try to support everybody. No, I can't be everywhere, but I believe that we should still be able to support each other in something, show up to something. And one thing that burns me up, everybody just want to support, oh, that's my homegirl, or that's my homeboy. I'm going to support just them. Anybody outside my girl and my sister and my this and my that, y'all want to go support them. You don't know who you might come encounter with. I think that is so crazy to me. I don't want to just support my homegirl. I need to be able to support somebody, because guess what? It might be somebody there beneficial that I could help them. I can impart something in them. They might be looking for some advice, some guidance. You never know how God allowed people pass the cross. But we limit ourselves because we only worried about our homegirl and our homeboy, and that's my sister and that's my brother. No, you never know. Stop limiting yourself and stop limiting what God can do, because you never know that you cross paths with people for so many reasons, and you just never know.
I totally agree. And even, on peer pressure just didn't start yesterday.
No.
We had peer pressure too growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Peer pressure is going to always be there.
Yeah.
We have to equip our youth with the tools
Correct.
to be able to walk away from peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about it is this. I truly believe that prisons, they're necessary. There are some individuals who just do not need to be in society. And that's just a given. However, it's not designed for everybody. And the saddest part is when you're dealing with peer pressure and you make one irrational choice, how it lead our youth to YDC, from YDC to prison.
Yeah.
Or how they do something in school and the school system doesn't want to give you in-school suspension because this is a class Z. So since you at the end of the alphabet, you've done it all the way to the end.
You got to get out.
You got to get out. So now we want to refer you not to the SO, but to an officer.
So do they have in-school suspension now? They still
Yeah, they still have in-school suspension. They still have it. But I think it's selective who get it.
Okay.
You know, I really do. I think it's selective. That's just my opinion. I think that it's selective. I think that when you're dealing with children that they have deemed behavior kids, you know, it's easier to send you home to your parent to deal with it than to keep you in school being disruptive.
And I get me wrong.
That's just my opinion.
I'm a parent too, so I believe it's not the school system job to raise our children, but at the same time, we both need to play a part. I need to make sure I'm doing my part at home. I believe the school system and administrative need to make sure they're doing their part. And at the same time, I believe we should work together. But it's a lot of, and I have been talking to a lot of teachers and administrators, and they say when it comes to the parent and they need the parent input and support, there's no parent input. They call the parent and say, hey, excuse me, your child has been misbehaving, or we're having this issue with your child. Your child is coming late to class every day. Your child is not turning in their homework. Your child is this. Your child is hanging with the wrong crowd. The first thing they say, the parents say, not my baby, not my child. Well, what you want me to do? Or
I gotta work.
I gotta work. I gotta pay these bills. I'm none. But see, they get it. I'm sure we get that. But at the same time, we still got to play a role. We still got to be a parent. You can't snap that on the teachers because they're calling out. If they're doing something to your child, that's the difference. But I think it's a lot. We need to start working together with administrators. I really do.
And I agree. And even on that note, you know, how is it that you want to snap back at the teachers? But please understand. I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and they literally rob their household to ensure that your child has what they need in the classroom. So one thing that my old supervisor used to tell me all the time is when you start investing your personal money, you start taking behaviors personal. Because you're putting your personal money into this situation. So when these teachers are out here and they're getting school supplies and extra stuff and all this and all that throughout the school year, because the budget for school has not sustained through the whole school year. And then when they call you and they tell you that little boo-boo over here acting out, you want to snap on them. Wow. A friend of mine, he's deceased now. He used to work in the school system, and he said his reason for leaving the school system was because the kids can walk down the hall and be as disrespectful as they wanted to, and you could not correct them. And if they jumped on you or they said something, you know, you had to take that with a grain of salt. I can't be a teacher.
I can't be a teacher.
I know.
I can, but I can't.
Hey, I can't. The can, put not on the end. Yeah. No, because I'm not going to withstand somebody's child that you're seeing yourself go above and beyond for, and because of whatever reason you want to put your hands on me. How we see these videos going viral, you know, of the children jumping on the teachers and all these different things. I'm not that person. I'm not that person.
Well, I believe, like,
come get your baby. Come get your baby.
Because even now, you know, I work with children, and they be laughing, and I'd be like, you sit down. Why you doing that? That is not right.
But what age do you work with?
3s and 4s.
Right, 3s and 4s. Okay. We talking about.
But I'm saying though, but even in that, you got to still have some type of, discipline in bed because, 3 and 4, they on a different level. So they be like, I've learned, even now with the new system that they have in the school system, you have to have a certain language. You have to talk in a certain language to the children. So me saying, don't do that, stop. You can't say that. No more. You can't say that. Mm-mm. You have to redirect.
Yes.
So you have to have a certain language. And I'm even learning, I'm like, well, when I was in the school system back in the day, you can say, hey, no, you cannot do that. You can't say no, you can't say this, you have to talk like this and this way. And I'm struggling that because I'm just being me. I'm just like, if you sit down, baby.
One of my clients, she works in the school system. She told me the same thing. She said, now, you cannot tell a child no.
You can't tell them no.
For me, working in the mental health field as long as I have, that was one thing that these kids had in common. When they come into the system, their PCP would say they have a difficult time with hearing no. Mm-hmm. And that's because our children have not been conditioned to hearing no. Mm-hmm. So now when you start telling them no signifies a behavior. Mm-hmm. Micaiah hears no all the time.
Okay. My children.
Sometimes she hear it back.
My children heard no. But I was active in my children's schooling. I was there. I was going for teacher meetings. I was volunteering. I was at lunch. I was doing all that stuff because you have to be involved. Because if you don't be involved, they will think that the attitude of a child, we have to get into their mind. My mama don't care. My daddy don't care. They ain't never got time for me. They got time to do everything else. Right. They ain't got time to come to the school and see about me. And the teacher probably threatened them. Oh, I'm coming. I'm going to call your mom and call your dad. And they be like, don't call them. They ain't coming. So,
right.
They
don't even talk to me at home.
Right. So we have to be more involved. And my kids, when they used to say, I'm going to call your mother, they be like, please, Tone, please, don't call my mama. Please don't call my mama. Because I'm coming. I'm going to be the hood mama, and I'm going to be the hood crazy mama. And I'm going to act up.
So when I worked in the
mental health, you cannot beat your child on school property. You have to take your child off the school property. Say, well, you shouldn't have called me to come up here because I'm going to wear him out. Well, that's fine. I'll be driving across the street with the tail and I'm going to bring him back.
Yeah.